Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Good morning, guys.
No celebration props today? I don't know
Joe had me
what
a good old
happened.
time this weekend. Joe, you saw some of the pictures I was posting. Joe had me a good old time.
You know,
had me some
I gotta tell
pancakes.
you,
Wait,
Skip.
we had some egomania going on?
No. Our friend Shannon here was treating himself, treat yourself weekend for Mr. Sharp. And he claims he's on this super clean, getting ready for 50 diet, but he was having some chicken wings and some pancakes.
Cinnamon rolls. Mashed.
Really?
Yeah. Because I already knew it was going to
Fries.
happen.
I
Things
think
have
it's like
never
fries in
passed
there.
these lips.
Yeah.
You realize that.
Victory has never passed
You
those
realize
lips either.
you are what you eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you are fat.
I've been
now.
eating victory. That's what I've been eating.
Yeah.
Because I'm victorious over here.
Well,
and will be
you know
again
what?
today.
I appreciate your humility because you are not throwing a parade over what you just saw.
Whoa.
It does not deserve a parade,
And
as we are about to discuss.
What he did
Yeah.
deserves a monument.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Against the Pacers.
Yeah. Oh, now it's the Pacers. Joy, the very Pacers that he apologized to last Monday. Those Pacers.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm done. I ain't going to say no more about it.
So does the diet start today, or?
Yeah, you know, I'm back on it now. Ron, get right. Ron.
So you posted bad things that you were eating as opposed to all this clean stuff that you eat.
We
I
usually
eat
post the clean stuff.
I
I think everyone was getting on his case that he never splurges.
Because
Joy-
it was fraudulent.
No, it was not
Yes.
fraudulent.
Yes.
It was good.
Okay.
Let's get started. Let's start with LeBron. He had never played a Game 7 in the first round before yesterday, but improved to a perfect 13-0 in the first round after leading the Cavs to a 105-101 win. He finished with 45 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 43 minutes. LeBron left the game late in the third quarter with cramps and called it, quote, a little minor injury. But he finally got some help yesterday, especially from Tristan Thompson, who had 15 points, 10 rebounds, and a key block late in the fourth. And Kevin Love added 14 points. Let's take a listen to Victor Oladipo and LeBron after the game.
It felt like a Game 7. It was like, your mind is thinking like, okay, besides the two I've played in the finals, but you start thinking like, is this it? Could this be it? That's just human nature. And then the other side of my brain was like, let's go make something happen. Let's go. This is what you here for.
Your thoughts of LeBron, 45, 9, 7.
Amazing. I mean, he did what he always does. It's not really shocking. He's the best in the world. That's what the best does. Now I got to work so I can get on that level.
Shannon, what was your takeaway from yesterday's game?
That man spoke truth.
Yeah, he's got to work to get on that level. He's got a whole lot of work to do.
Whoa, Skip.
Like he needs to go find some guts.
Joy, hold on. Is it my turn? You want to tell? You go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I talk now?
I thought you opened the door.
No, I ain't nobody open no door. It's not your turn yet.
Okay.
So let me have my moment.
All right.
What we saw yesterday was LeBron at his absolute best, and he needed every ounce. Everything that he gave them yesterday is what they've needed. And if you look at LeBron in the wins, 42 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. He won those games by an average margin of less than 4 points per game. So think about it. 42, 11, and 7. And they won 4 games by a grand total of 14 points. That's what it took. And we're talking today, and everybody's talking about Kevin Love gave them something. Kevin Love is a 5-time All-Star, and we're patting him on the back for scoring 14 points.
Who's talking about it? I don't know who the who are. Everybody. Who's
Did you,
everybody?
Did you not? So you listen.
I haven't even spoken yet.
You listen to the volume of the television.
I
know
don't
what
know.
was said. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. Because I know how you're going to come out here. Now, today, the Pacers are terrible.
Wait, Joey's putting words in my mouth before I speak. That's
All I'm
not
saying
legal.
I was told by someone very close to Mr. Skip Bayless that he owed the Indiana Pacers an apology because they had won Game 1 in Cleveland. I want to apologize right here and now to the Indiana Pacers and the Philadelphia 76ers. But I knew this was going to happen as soon as LeBron took them out. Now that Victor Oladipo doesn't have what it takes. Now the Pacers aren't any good. All I know is this. When it comes to Game 7s, nobody scores more points than LeBron James. Not even Michael Jordan. But let me tell you what the LeBron...
How many Game 7s did he play?
Time out.
He never got to a Game 7 in the finals. Go ahead.
You can't get to a Game 7, Joy, if you're getting swept. How you get to a Game 7 you're getting swept?
Are you asking me about LeBron versus San Antonio?
I'm asking you about Michael Jordan when he got swept in the first round.
Oh, I was talking
So
about
how do you
finals.
get to a Game 7?
He never got to a finals.
What about
game
the Eastern?
7.
What about the Eastern Conference Finals?
Never got to a finals Game 7.
What about?
Never got to a finals Game 7. I only care about the finals.
Oh,
got there
now
6 times and went 6 MVPs. Go ahead.
Now, so let me get this straight. A man plays 15 years. He goes to 6 finals. He wins them all. So the other 9 years don't matter. So how can someone be the greatest of all times if everything else they did outside of the finals does not matter?
Okay.
Exactly. That's my point.
Go ahead.
So you look at it in the totality of it and what he was asked to do. Nobody in the history of the game had to carry more of an onus game in and game out of LeBron James. Nobody had to shoulder the scoring load. Nobody had to shoulder the rebounding and the assist load, facilitating, and early in his career, say the first 12 years of his career, play the type of defense that he played. No one in the history of the game had that kind of onus. And for him to do it, to come out there with, still, Joy, got to go back. Only 2 men have ever been able to do it. I went back to 1964. Karl Malone in 1999 and LeBron James. Only teammates to win to win a series in which no other guy scored 20 points. They didn't have a Kevin Love makes $22 million, and he didn't give you 12 points a game. Tristan had to play like this, Joy. Do you think he want to go home for the summer and have to deal with what's waiting for him? He know he had to play hard. He had to. Because, boy, he can't go home right now with what's going on there.
You're still taking shots
I ain't
at him
taking no
after
shot.
he saved your season.
No.
He saved you, and you're still trying to ridicule him for what happened off the court. How about what happened on the court when he got a chance?
LeBron saved him. Oh. LeBron, the one that went to T. Lue and say, I want to ride with the guy. He says, I want to rise or I want to fall with the guys that have been there with me before.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's your turn. Take it away.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you've been interrupting the whole while, so go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
Okay. Let's get to the bottom line that you conveniently swept under your little rug over there.
Well,
You swept all your props today, which you did not pull out, which I'm impressed by. But here's the bottom line. We witnessed a very weird and very amazing development yesterday in that basketball game. With a minute left in the third quarter, you did not even mention this. LeBron James, the quote-unquote best player on the planet, the face of the NBA, checked out. He took himself out of the game and he walked up the tunnel to the locker room. And at that point, the whole season was teetering because they were up only 1 point. Their 12-point halftime lead had dwindled steadily down as we saw game after game against the Pacers in this series. It dwindled all the way down to 1 point with a minute left in the third quarter. And it looked like, with the face of the franchise and the league going to the locker room, that the face of the league was about to be out of the playoffs. It felt dire to me. It felt like, the Cavaliers are in trouble because what do I hear day after day after day on this show? LeBron James has no help. And what happened, Mr. Sharp? All of a sudden, when LeBron James came back with 8:25 left, the Cavs were up 8 points. Can you imagine? And as soon as he stepped on the floor, about 30 seconds transpired, and they were up 12. And I would say the game was effectively won yesterday, not by LeBron James, because he was suddenly missing in action. It was won by all the Cavaliers not named LeBron James, by the non-LeBrons. God saved the king, or maybe Kevin Love saved the king, because all you needed was love, right? Yesterday, and you dismissed him and said, everybody's talking about Kevin Love, but what did he do during that stretch? Kevin Love, an all-star, as you point out,
5 times.
Hit 2 threes and a mid-range jump shot. 3, 6, 8. Oh, he scored 8 points in that stretch. And George Hill, who the spur came out in him because he's played in some big games in his life, he hit 2 free throws, and Jeff Green hit 2 free throws. And all of a sudden, LeBron looks up, and he's back, and they're up 12, and the game is over. So what just had happened, the door was opened by the absence of the king, And Victor Oladipo in that same stretch with the King gone, how many shots did he take, Mr. Sharp? He took none. He registered nothing in the box score. Victor Oladipo also went missing in action for that stretch from the 1 minute mark of the third quarter to the 8:25 mark of the fourth quarter. There's no Victor Oladipo to be found. So all of a sudden, once again, we saw this again and again in this series, LeBron opened the door and Oladipo and company could not run through that door. So they proved they can compete with the Kings team. They can hang in with the Kings team. They can come back on the Kings team. But when it was time, when the door is swung wide open, they can't dethrone the King. Victor Oladipo is a number 2. He's not a number 1. He's not a superstar.
Not yet, anyway.
He's a quasi-star. I guess he showed flashes of stardom this year. He had his breakout year. But the only hopes they had were in Game 1, obviously, and then in Game 6.
They won Game 1.
That's what I'm saying. But the hopes came when Oladipo went off for 32 in Game 1, including 6 of 9 threes. And then what happened Friday night, and a shock to me, because I thought LeBron would just slam the door. He had a triple-double. And they won by, 34 points? They led by 36 in that game. So if Oladipo would rise and shine and play star basketball, I'm not even saying superstar, just star basketball,
so
they could win. So what happened to LeBron in this stretch?
I'm trying to figure out, hold on.
How did they win without the King?
Hold on. You keep saying Oladipo, if he'd have rose and shine, he had 30, 12, and 6, and he was a +1.
Okay, but this is the stretch. This is when the door is wide open. Is LeBron on the court, Mr. Sharp? No, he's in the locker room. So let's get to what happened. Why is everybody giving him a pass? He checked out with his team teetering. What happened? Well, I got to go back to Game 1 of 2014. Remember that finals? Remember what happened at San Antonio? Quote unquote, the air conditioning broke. I don't know what happened.
You know what happened, because why did they have fans in everybody's seat if the air conditioning didn't break?
I don't know.
Every fan.
No, I mean, it broke. But there were
you,
suggestions on the former show I was on.
You just suggested it. You just suggested it. The air conditioner supposedly had broke. That's what you're saying.
DJ Khaled suggested it on my former show.
No,
he said the streets told him that it was sabotage. But I think the air conditioning just broke. There was some failure from the electric company that supplied the Spurs
But that's
arena.
not what you just said. You said allegedly.
Okay, so it broke.
Okay.
So the point is, I don't even know how hot it really was, because only one player on the court cramped, and it was LeBron James in the fourth quarter. So he went out with 7:31 left in that game. This is Game 1 of the 2014 finals, and his team was up by 2. But that night, they couldn't save the King. That night, he needed help from Bosh or D. Wade or somebody to step up and save the day, at least stem the tide.
What happened?
And nobody did, because the Spurs went on a run. When he came back, it was actually 94-90 Spurs. So it went from Heat up 2 to down 4. So he came back in, and he did manage to make a layup, but he didn't last much longer, because 34 seconds later, he's limping and he's grimacing and he's saying he cramped, and he took himself out.
Okay.
So remember, this is the best conditioned player in all of basketball. This is the man who is the smartest, who has the highest IQ when it comes to nutrition and hydration. And he cramped.
Yeah.
And so I was dumbfounded by that, because I have too much respect for LeBron. So I've told you before, I have one source way inside the Heat who's really good and has never steered me wrong. So the next day I called that source and I said, what happened to LeBron? And he said, well, I got to tell you, our Heat medical staff has found that LeBron, when the stress is highest, his body will lock up. And they don't even consider it cramping, or they didn't at that point. They just said he tightens up and he will cramp, not because of lack of hydration, just the stress, he'll seize up with it, and that was a high-stress moment for LeBron. They lost Game 1. He did come back and play Game 2. They played well in Game 2, but you know what happened the rest of the way. They got blown out by the Spurs by a record finals margin. So I wrote that for ESPN.com, so you can look it up, and I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's psychological or physical with LeBron, but it was happening.
No. You said the source inside the Heat.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what the source said.
No. So what you're saying, it's psychological. You don't say it's about physiological. You're saying that.
I'm just telling you what my source told me. You can look it up. Go read it.
Okay.
Go read it. You can read the quote in my piece. I wrote it 2 days later for ESPN.com. So I don't know, but something happened again. That was some strange business.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give him a pass because he's the best player in the game, and he checked out on his team, and this time he wasn't even limping. He just went to the locker room, and when he returned, what was the score? They quickly went up 12, so he got taken off the hook. Was he trying to build an excuse in? Was he just crumbling mentally? I don't know, Shannon, but something was going on with your man. I don't see that from great players.
Here's the
Do you
thing.
remember Michael Jordan checking out of a game with this?
Let me tell you about this.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, Joy, but what I know about, I know a hell of a lot about. Let me tell you how the body works. And I don't need no doctor to tell me because I'm telling you how Shannon Sharp's body works.
Yeah.
I once in a practice, in a training camp practice, lost 13 pounds in 2 hours and 5 minutes.
It happens.
There's a reason why heavyweight fighters do not throw as many punches as fighters in the smaller categories. You know why, Skip? Because it requires a lot of oxygen to fuel muscle.
Who played the most minutes in the league? Who played the most this year? Help me
Skip,
out.
you're going to let me talk or you're going to talk the whole time? Well, go ahead.
He played the most minutes in the league. Did you see him cramp one time the whole year? One time. One time. Do you remember him cramping? I don't. Just take it away.
How many games did he play? How many games did he play 42 minutes straight in the course of 2 weeks?
Probably a bunch. Knowing him, he's playing every game. Come on.
Yeah, be real.
Huh?
Be real.
I'm being totally real.
How many
These
games?
other guys are playing high minutes too.
No, they're not.
No, nobody's cramping. Nobody
Skip.
cramped. Nobody
Skip.
cramped.
Hold on, time out.
The air conditioning didn't break.
How many of LeBron's teammates played 40-plus minutes in this series?
Do you believe he cramped?
Yes, I believe he
I
cramped.
didn't even see him limping yesterday.
Let me ask you a
him
question.
limp?
Skip, let me ask me a question. Let me ask you a question. How many 160-pound marathon runners you see?
I ran 10 at 100.
You do it casually.
Yeah. I don't do it casually. I was breaking 3 hours. You can look it up. I had a 247.
Are you trying to win the race?
No, I
Okay,
came close when I ran 247.
Come close to what?
To winning that race. I was top 10 at Houston. Look it up.
No.
Houston Woodlands Marathon. Look it up.
You were the top 10 maybe in your category.
No, I was in the whole race.
There were
a very good race.
First of all, there were 40 Kenyans that were already on the plane going back home by the time you finished
there
the
weren't
race.
any Kenyans.
But that's another here or there, Skip.
Yeah.
Skip, you know physiologically how it works. The more in distance is required, the smaller the human being wants to be. There's a reason why marathon runners are getting smaller and smaller. You know that. Why, Skip? Because it requires a lot of oxygen to fuel muscle.
It's just physics. You have to carry that much weight, 26.2 miles.
Thank you.
While running 5-minute miles.
So, Joy, I'm glad he brought that up. So you're asking a man like LeBron James, that's 6'9", weighs 270 pounds, to do what he does over the course of 45-plus minutes, game in and game out, and he's not supposed to cramp. Name the guy that his size that's ever had that was required to carry the load that LeBron James has. I'm not talking about a 205 Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan never had to worry about rebounding. He had Dennis Rodman and Cartwright. He never had to worry about facilitating the offense.
Did you ever see him cramp during the year?
Skip, he weighs 205.
Who? No, I'm talking about LeBron. Did he cramp?
Skip, he's playing 43, 44 minutes per night, and he's doing what he's... You heard what Kyle Korver said? Kyle Korver said Allen Iverson told him, do you know how much energy it takes to get up 30 shots? Well, the man shooting 25. Well, not only is he shooting 25, he's grabbing your double-digit rebound. If Allen Iverson says it takes a lot of energy and effort to get up 30 shots, when did the last time Allen Iverson had 13 rebounds in a game?
Well, like Allen Iverson, LeBron rested a lot on defense, so you can't give him a two-way player.
Ask Victor Oladipo, did he rest in Game 5 on defense?
Game 5?
Yeah. Bam! When he pinned it to the backboard. Was he rested?
Was he rested? Bring that up? How dare you?
Was he resting?
It was goaltending.
Was he resting?
He goaltended.
Was he resting?
Who was it? A goaltend?
I don't know what it was.
You don't know what it was.
We got
you're
the dub.
just wrong. You
we
said
got
it
the
wasn't.
dub.
The NBA said it was goaltending.
All I know in Game 7, who has the highest scoring average? In elimination games, who have the highest scoring average? Because we know Michael Jordan was eliminated.
So what happened when he went out? Just help me out. Was the game won by somebody not named LeBron James?
Hold up, Skip. You remember when Indiana went on that run, and they would look like they were about to seize momentum. Can you tell the people at home how many three-pointers LeBron hit in the third quarter?
Well, they were only up one when he was checked out. They're only up 1 point. I don't care what happened. They're only up 1 point. That's all I know, and that's all I care about. Season is teetering, and here come the Pacers again.
So let me ask you a question. If he doesn't have 26 points on 11 of 16 shooting in the first half, what are we talking about? Oh, you get an opportunity to come back here.
Okay.
See, it bothers you that you can't say anything. So you got to go back to 2014 and him cramping. Let's talk about this
You won't answer my question.
What
happened when he checked out? What happened?
He finally got a little support from his teammates.
A little?
So LeBron James.
Was that not the game? Was that not the game?
You know what I'm starting to see? This is what I'm starting to see. And maybe it's just me. LeBron James is the only one that's allowed to have teammates. Everybody else can have teammates.
Well, you always tell me he doesn't have enough help.
So
That's some huge help.
So let me ask you.
So the Pacers at full strength had the door swing wide open. There's no best player on the planet. And what happened? What happened?
If you don't mind me asking, Skip, just for me and some people at home, can you tell me the people on LeBron's roster that's better than Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman?
Okay, but you're just changing the subject. Keep it on yesterday. We'll talk about that
Okay,
later.
he won. Game 7, over. 40. I'm glad you said that.
What happened in that stretch?
45.
You're just ignoring what happened.
I love how
Kevin Love just took the game over.
I love how you do that, Skip.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just showing you. From 1 minute left in the third to 8:25 in the fourth, the whole game swings wildly to the Cavaliers' favor. What happened?
Oh, so I love
the whole game changed.
I love how you take a 1 minute stretch in a 48-minute ball game.
No, I didn't say a 1 minute.
That's what you did. You just said that.
No, I said 1 minute left in the third to 8:25 in the fourth. That's how long LeBron missed.
Yeah.
That's close to 5 full minutes of basketball, right? Mm-hmm. And what happened in that stretch? Victor Oladipo does not register in the box score. He doesn't have an assist, a rebound, a shot taken. He's just nowhere to be seen. And Kevin Love makes two threes and one step.
And I think, didn't Victor Oladipo start the fourth quarter on the bench?
Just barely, but he came in at the 10:25 mark.
Okay.
So he played down the
so
stretch.
Basically 2 minutes. So basically over a 2 minute stretch, he didn't have a point of rebound or assist.
This is where you just take the game over, man. They don't have their guy.
Oh, kind of like LeBron did for this series?
Well, no, you're still missing. You're dodging the bullet here because you're not telling me why they won the game. This is where the game turned.
So hold on, Skip. Are you going to sit here on national television and say they won the game because of Kevin Love?
I just said it. I mean, they were up 1, and all of a sudden, when he comes back, they're up 12. How do you explain that? So is that not the game?
Kevin Love had 8 points in the fourth quarter. 8 points in the fourth quarter. He finished with 14 in the game. So up until that point, he had 6 points, and they had a 1 point lead. Can you tell me how, Skip? How did they get a 1 point lead with Kevin Love having 6 points? You won't answer the question.
8 points in this stretch. I just explained it. And George Hill made 2 free throws, and Jeff Green made 2 free throws. And the Pacers could not scratch.
I'm asking you a simple question.
The Pacers had their chance, and Kevin Love slammed the door in their face with no LeBron.
Up until that point.
You just have to acknowledge it. You have to accept it. You have to own it today. Kevin Love won this game. He just won it.
Skip.
Like LeBron said afterwards, we need to split the game ball between Kevin Love and George Hill. Actually, you need to give the game ball to Kevin Love. He just took the game over right before your very eyes. Well, how do you explain going from up 1 to up 12, and then you're never threatened again? It's just, it happened.
Skip, they weren't threatened again?
No, heck no.
So the game never got close again?
Nope.
The game wasn't 4 points?
Nope.
The game wasn't 5 points?
There was never any threat. I mean, Tristan had the big block at the end, but that was an 8-point game at that point. Okay, so he would have cut it to 6.
Yeah.
Tristan had a lot to do with the big picture of the game.
For you to sit over there after a man had 45 points.
No, he did.
9
was great.
And 7
but again, Nate McMillan stuck right to his game plan that he stuck with from game 1.
And it cost him.
I'm going to let LeBron have his.
And he did it.
And I'm going to try to limit the production of everybody else.
And he did.
And it's still, he had him right where he wanted him. He even had LeBron checking out of the game. And it's a 1-point game at the end of 3 quarters. Actually, they made it the 2-point game at the end of 3 quarters. Yeah. So, but when LeBron checked out, it's a 1-point game. Is that not a beautiful thing? So you've got LeBron out of the game in Game 7 in his house, and you have a chance to go win it right now, and you don't.
We gotta leave it there. No mercy. The Cowboys were very busy over the last few days. They drafted former Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch with their first-round pick on Thursday. Then they traded wide receiver Ryan Switzer to the Raiders and added wide receiver Tavon Austin in a trade with the Rams. And they could lose Jason Witten, too. He will reportedly retire this week, but Jason Garrett is still trying to persuade Witten to play next season. Skip, what grade would you give the Cowboys' moves?
You know, I wrote down a C, but just on the fly here, I'm going to change it to a C- because the more I think about it, the worse it gets. It just left me flat. The whole weekend left me flat. I'm not saying it was terrible, but it wasn't remotely what it could have been. And I watched Jerry Jones, the plunger, just sit on his hands all weekend and even let the Philadelphia Eagles dictate to him in the second round. So just quickly, let's go back to Leighton Vander Esch, a kid they fell in love with a month or so ago in the building. Everybody fell in love with him, and they took him even though he played 1 year at Boise State as a starter, and he had a bad neck injury. Is he the next Brian Urlacher? I hope so. But in the one game I watched him, I didn't see anything like the Brian Urlacher I saw in college in physicality, point of attack, seek and destroy. I didn't see any of that, so God bless them. I hope they're right, because DJ Moore was sitting right there. DJ Moore is electrifying. He's a game breaker. He would have become the next Dez Bryant. He doesn't look like Dez or play like Dez, but he would have Dez impact as one of the newest members, like the new triplet to Dak.
Nice big body, running after catch.
And he can run powerfully after the catch. And Cam Newton got him 5 picks later. And watch what happens with Cam Newton next year. And if you're going to take a linebacker, I just like Rashaan Evans better from your St. Nick's defense. And he goes 3 picks later because Tennessee traded up and said, we got to snatch him before Belichick takes him at 23. He's just he's an outside linebacker and they want an inside backer, but whatever. He's just a better football player, I think, than Leighton Vander Esch is right now. So then we get to the second round, and Howie Roseman strikes again. This guy's the best team builder in all of football. And by the way, he didn't even play high school football. How do you figure that? And he trades up 1 pick ahead of Dallas, and he takes potentially the next Jason Witten, or should I say the next Zach Ertz, because Dallas Goedert out of South Dakota State could be that guy.
Yeah.
And he went right up and snatched him right out of the Cowboys' clutches. So they're stuck with Connor Williams. So they take an offensive lineman. And I liked him 2 years ago because he might have been one of the most dominating players in college football. And last year, Mr. Sharp, he was pretty not there to be seen. I don't know. He just had a bad year, an off year, a non-year, and they took him with their second-round pick, and they left James Washington on the board. You know James Washington from Oklahoma State?
Yep.
I watched him a lot. Mason Rudolph to James Washington. We may get to see that one day with your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Got downfield in a hurry.
Hey.
A lot of deep passes.
He doesn't test great, but he just gets behind everybody consistently. Well, I would have taken him instead of the offensive lineman, but no. So that leaves us with Michael Gallup, and I hope he lives up to his name, Gallup. Maybe that's a great Dallas Cowboy name out of Colorado State, but I will bet you he is no DJ Moore, and I will bet you he's nothing like 2014 Dez Bryant. And so that's what you're stuck with as your new quote-unquote number 1, which brings me to Tavon Austin. I loved Tavon Austin before the 2013 draft. I loved him. I was raving about him because he ran 4.3 at the Combine, and at West Virginia, he was just electric.
He had that monster game. He had over 300 yards receiving.
Nobody could get him on the ground. And I don't know why. Maybe you can explain to me why, but he never lived up as a Ram. Did they not utilize him correctly? Is he more of a scat back than a wide out or a slot receiver? I don't know. I'm hoping we can find some West Virginia Tavon, but I don't.
And implement it.
You know, I'm just not sure about it. And they did get that Jihad Ward from the Raiders. They did need a tackle. And I think that was a nice, solid move to give up Ryan Switzer because you got Cole Beasley, if in fact you still have Cole Beasley, if he can ever come back to what he was 2 years ago. So it's just, there's no clever move. There's no shocker. There's no, wow, we got. No, you don't got.
Right.
You don't got anybody of note.
I agree with you. I'm going to give them a D+ for the very reasons that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Is that because they seem to be, well, we'll just sit back and we'll take whomever's available to us.
The best player on the board?
No.
I guess.
Let me start with where you finished,
right.
Tavon Austin.
All right.
On the best offense in football, the highest scoring offense in football, in 16 games, he had 13 catches. So when was the last time a team traded a playmaker for a sixth-round draft pick?
Just don't do it.
So Sean McVay, if Sean McVay is thought of as one of the most clever offensive minds in football.
Well said.
And all he could get out of him over 16 games was 13 catches.
Preach.
Good luck, Cowboys.
Yep.
You mentioned before. Now, I believe that Vander Esch has more potential to be Mike Mamula as opposed to Brian Urlacher.
You're
I could be
right.
wrong,
No,
but I don't really like guys that just have one good year and then you're like, okay, yeah, I got that, and because he tested well. 1 year tape and test well, that's not a formula for long-term success.
Not.
Skip, you say you want Dak to be let's just take the quarterbacks in that division.
Yeah.
You look at Carson Wentz and you look at Dak. Wentz struggled a little bit. What did Howie Roseman do? He says, I'm going to go get playmakers.
He did.
Put around him. I'm going to make his job a lot easier. I'm going to give him an opportunity to put the ball in guys' hands, let them go make plays. You tell me if I'm looking at this, Allen Hurns, Terrence Williams, Cole Beasley. Okay, Witten may or may not be there. But listen, Jason Witten is not going to change their life.
No, so they're now begging Jason Witten to stay. And you know what he is. He'll catch it, but he won't go anywhere with it.
He'll have 600 yards.
He will.
He'll have 60, 65 catches. But you won't remember any of them. So that's what.
And by the way, as much as I love Jason, I love him. And he is a stalwart.
Take that job, Jason.
Okay? But how many championships have they won with him as the leader of the team? I don't know. Just hasn't happened.
Jason Witten is what he is. And what he fails to realize, and a lot of people fail to realize, you win a championship is not going to change the perception of you. That's what, because...
it would help some.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. They win the championship. Is he going to be the reason why, or will it be Dak and Zeke? That's just the way it works, especially after you get on up in age.
Yeah.
Okay, you got an opportunity to get Calvin Ridley. You get an opportunity to get DJ Moore, but you stand pat, and then you take a linebacker. Okay, maybe you're saying Sean Lee, Skip. Maybe they're saying, Sean Lee, you get injured too much. We need somebody to fill in for you. Maybe Jalen Smith. We finally come to the realization you're never going to be what you were pre-injury, what you are now post-injury.
Yep.
So we need to go in a different direction. But last I checked, linebackers, they use their neck. If he had a neck injury in college, and he had 1 year of good tape. So you look at all these guys and look at Goddard. Goddard was I think the second-ranked tight end on everybody's board. So you stand pat, he going to fall to us. Yeah, we just sit right here.
We got this. Nope, Howie Roseman's got this.
Do they know that they can trade up? Do they know that they can move some picks? And it probably wouldn't have cost them that much, Skip. But I'm looking at them and how they're doing their board. I'm like, Dallas, you guys didn't get any better. I don't know if you think you got closer to Philly. I don't know if you think you got closer to the Vikes, but I don't see it. I understand Zeke can change a lot of fortunes because he can come back, and hopefully it seems to be he's progressing along really well. But your offensive line. Now, Tyron Smith had a back injury the past couple of years. And the one thing you and I both know about backs, they don't tend to get better as you age.
They don't.
So now what? I don't like really anything that they did because I still don't see anybody on the outside that can give you explosive plays. Tavon Austin, you can punt it to. He's known for, Skip, that play they ran when they were back in St. Louis, where he laid on the ground and somebody got the ball and they threw it to him, and all of a sudden he goes down the sideline.
Maybe they can do that. Maybe that'll work a couple of times.
But offensively, tell me the play offensively that since he's been in the league that you can remember Tavon Austin being involved in. You're like, wow, Tavon Austin.
Reverse. They ran some reverses. If you catch somebody and he gets a step on you on the far side, he might be able to break it for 15 yards.
Yeah, but normally you want to throw the ball down the field
you
to
do.
get those kind of those explosive plays.
I cannot argue. I can even go down to, it was one, like safe conservative pick after another. This Dorrance Armstrong they took in the 4th round. Do you know Okoronkwo, the OU guy, the pass rusher?
Yeah.
See, every time, I watched every Oklahoma game, and he went in the 5th round. He just makes plays.
Right.
And he doesn't test well. He's not big. He's not this. He's not this. He just makes plays.
Right.
I watched Dorrance Armstrong against Oklahoma when he played for Kansas, and I don't even remember him playing in the game because Orlando Brown just took him out of the game.
Right.
And Orlando Brown went to your Ravens, and Ozzie made a great pick with that.
Right. Anthony Miller was available in the 2nd round, the wide receiver from Memphis. Okay. James Washington, Oak State. DJ Clark, LSU.
Chark, yeah.
Chark.
Excuse me. One after another, and I kept tweeting, there went another one. There went another one. I don't know what you're doing.
But everybody's, if you think about it, Skip, everybody's basically moving up except the Cowboys. The Cowboys, did they win the Super Bowl last year? Or did they win the past couple of Super Bowls? It's what's going on that you and I don't know about, Skip?
I don't know.
That they feel so comfortable that they can stand pat and whomever come to us, we got this. Even the New England Patriots, who win every year, And this is what Coach Belichick normally does. He'll trade down, get some picks. He sees somebody he likes. He'll package one of the picks that he received, move up and go get them. Now, that's what they do. A team that wins all the time. A team that's in the Super Bowl all the time. But the Dallas Cowboys, as Akers, the kicker, trolling, say last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, none of these draft picks were even born.
May I make one statement about that, please? When David Akers was an Eagle, they played the Cowboys once in the playoffs and got beat 34-14. And by the way, David Akers is not a real football player. He's a kicker. So he's not a real football player.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, I'm just telling you, I got to put him back in perspective.
No, he was trolling.
Put him back in his place because he just went off on Cowboy fans.
And he said it.
Yeah.
NFC East champs, NFC champs, Super Bowl champs. Skip, that's in Dallas.
And what did he have to do with this year's Super Bowl? He had nothing.
No, Skip.
Nothing.
Skip, you know what?
Nothing.
Once you're an Eagle for life.
Yeah, he's a kicker.
Don't do that, Skip.
Yeah, just stay retired. Stay out of sight.
What is wrong with you?
Well, he's a kicker. I can't. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Did he? Okay, I want you to tell me the lie in this statement.
He started it.
Where is the lie in this statement? Were they not the NFC East, NFC champs, and the Super Bowl champs? Were any of the draft picks?
He's bragging about something he had zero to do with. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, that happened.
Okay. I know he's a former Eagle, so I guess that gives you some bragging
I'm a former Bronco, and I be bragging on the Broncos. I'm a former Raven, I be bragging on the Ravens.
Okay.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, what if Jason Witten just wants to do a Shannon Sharp and just do one play, you know?
I haven't even seen that.
That's all
I haven't even.
It'll be big play Jay.
Look here, Skip. And
You know what? I'm with you about this. If Jason has the offers on the table that he does, he should probably just take one.
You don't get too old to talk.
You don't. Not these. These are.
You get too old to play football. You don't get too old to talk.
Plus, these are plum jobs.
Yes.
Well, maybe if he takes one of those jobs and he can come by here.
And now I don't want to race.
And then he can race you.
I don't want to race.
Oh, no, you don't want to.
What's the drama? What's the fun in beating a retired guy? Hell, I'm supposed to. The suspense and the drama is when I bust his head and Jason.
You're not going to beat me in those pancakes and chicken wings.
I got those options.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you already worked those options.
No mercy.
The Browns won 0 games in 2017, but Westgate Superbook set their over-under at 5.5 wins next season. Cleveland made a number of moves this offseason, including bringing in Tyrod Taylor and drafting Baker Mayfield. Hugh Jackson addressed his quarterback situation this weekend. Take a listen.
I think anytime you draft a quarterback at number one overall, everybody wants to see him play. But I've made a true commitment to our football team. Tyrod Taylor's going to be the starter. Baker's going to compete. However that unfolds, it unfolds. But right now, Tyrod is the starter. If Baker can understand the National Football League and all the rigors that in the grinding that you have to go through, I'm not going to ever stop a player from being the best he can be. But we have a plan, and I want to work that plan as much as we can. Now, can a player supersede that? You never know. I haven't had that happen. But right now, this team is going to be led by Tyrod Taylor.
Skip, should Tyrod Taylor be the starter?
Okay. I will preface this by saying you can accuse me of letting the Sooner take over inside me because I did grow up a University of Oklahoma football fan. I've never been the biggest Baker Mayfield fan, but I know what he can do. And I'm here to tell you, if Hugh Jackson, after whatever they have, 4 preseason games and a camp, if he sees fit to throw Baker Mayfield into the Game 1 fire and just let him go, I believe he will not shrink under the pressure of living up to being the number 1 overall pick. And I believe the Cleveland Browns would turn into the surprise team of the National Football League. I could see them going 7-9. It's 5.5 is the over-under on how many games are.
That's a 70% increase.
I know. 7-9. I definitely would see must-see TV because I'm going to watch every Browns game if Baker Mayfield starts from the start. I could see an offense that will at least rival Atlanta's for the most exciting bombs-away offense in football. Because I'm going to tell you what Baker Mayfield does best. He speed reads defenses as he did at Oklahoma, and he can find the open weapon and hit the open weapon with deadly accurate passes. He had quite a spectacular array of weapons at OU. I think he might have almost as spectacular array of weapons, if not better, for the Cleveland Browns. Can you imagine Baker Mayfield throwing to Josh Gordon or Jarvis Landry or Corey Coleman? Don't forget him. He can fly now.
Yeah.
or David Njoku. Remember, he's a stud tight end. Or that kid they took a flyer on, I think in the 4th round, that Antonio Callaway out of Florida, who might be the most talented receiver in the whole draft, but he is also the most troubled receiver.
Yeah.
If he stays eligible or upright, you don't put him in the slot or put him in that mix. You don't think there'd be firepower? Or can you imagine Baker Mayfield flipping it or handing it to Nick Chubb or Carlos Hyde or Duke Johnson? That's a pretty good array of running backs. And they can all catch it and run with it. And all of a sudden, I know they lost their Hall of Fame left. I assume he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Joe Thomas left tackle, but they drafted that kid Austin Corbett. I don't know if he steps in. I don't know how good they'll be. Their defense was decent last year in yards allowed. It was awful in points allowed. But Denzel Ward was the best corner in the draft.
Yes,
and I could suggest that he would have Marshawn Lattimore kind of impact on that defense if you throw him into the game one fire.
Right.
So I could see the offense inspiring the defense, and I could see an upset here or there, and I could see 7-9 if Baker Mayfield. Now, I have nothing but respect for Tyrod, but he's not the operator of a weapon-filled offense that Baker is. He doesn't have that kind of arm or that kind of moxie or sort of, as I call him, a careful risk taker. Tyrod's going to make some plays with his feet, but he doesn't throw it as well as Baker does. So I'm just saying, if you let him go and you let this thing catch fire, I think it could be must-see TV.
I agree with you to a certain extent. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they go through OTAs, they go through training camp, and the preseason is close. Well, Baker Mayfield should start.
Well, you just invested the whole first pick
because
of the draft.
Skip, I don't believe, because we've seen it happen a lot of different ways. We see they throw Peyton Manning in, they throw Andrew Luck. There's certain guys they just throw. Matt Ryan, they just throw him to the Wolves. Other guys like Carson Palmer, you see they sit the entire year. If it's close, well, I don't really see, but here's the thing, Skip. If you start Baker Mayfield first, because this is the way you have to look at it. The Cleveland Browns are not built like the Seattle Seahawks were built when Russell Wilson started day one. They're not built like that. They're not built like when Ben Roethlisberger took over second game of the season, like they were. That was a veteran-laden ball club.
I agree.
So this is not how they're built.
Nope.
But if it's close, you might as well, because this is what happened last year. They went into, I think the Texans went in, well, Savage is going to be our guy, Savage is going to be our guy. And they really didn't even look, or really was not even trying to give Deshaun a chance. But halfway through at the half, here comes Deshaun. Well, if you start a guy after the half, hell, you should have started him at the game, because there's nothing that Tom Savage did in that game to change your mind and say, you know what, he can't get it done.
Except get sacked.
Exactly.
Right? Yep.
So if it's close, Skip, you go through OTAs, you go through training camp and the mini camp and the preseason. I'm sure he's going to get an opportunity to show what he's capable of doing. And if it's close, you go ahead and ride with Baker Mayfield. But if you start Baker Mayfield, Skip, do you think those players are like, you know what, we can win the division? How many rookie quarterbacks come in with that kind of cachet? Because more times than not, the veteran guy, while they might be happy to have a quarterback, they're trying to win right now. Because when the guy gets good, they might not be there. Very few rookies are good, or you get to an ideal situation like Dak. You look at Dak started. Dak was not intended to start. That team was built. Tony Romo, they got Zeke, that offensive line. They were going to run the football and play. I don't know if Cleveland, that's not the way Cleveland is constructed. But if Baker Mayfield, if it's close, I say if it's this, Skip, if it's 55-45 Tyrod, might as well go ahead and ride with Baker.
Okay. Would you agree this is a spectacular array of weapons that throw
They got the potential to be really good. They got the potential to be really good. Really good. I love Josh Gordon. If Josh Gordon, if he can keep his head on, he's a top 5 receiver. He's a top 5 receiver, because with his side, basically he's not a fast Julio Jones, but he has that big body.
He does.
Great catch radius, can run after the catch. The question is, and it seems to me after last year, he was on the straight and narrow. Hopefully he stays on that path. But, Skip, he can be special. Well, we've seen him be special. And as you mentioned, Corey Coleman, and the tight end, Njoku. Yep. So they got Jarvis Landry in the slot. So they got weapons. Running back galore.
Hey, seriously, that Antonio Callaway, every time I turned on the TV watching him last year, I'd say, wow, he can fly now.
Oh, yeah, he can run. Can make plays in the return game. But, Skip, you know,
So it's going to come down to
they be testing.
Yep. What does Hugh think of how the two quarterbacks are operating in the locker room with the veterans? Because Tyrod is highly respected and right away will have nothing but respect and cachet with the veterans on the Browns. Not that the veterans have done anything to merit any big respect themselves. But Baker Mayfield was different than Johnny Manziel. Baker at Oklahoma took the whole program over and was highly respected in the locker room as a worker and a leader.
Right.
Johnny was unto himself. He was a solo act who the players liked him, but they didn't love the fact that he wasn't one of them.
Well, they didn't treat him like they were one. They treated him different.
They did. Well, he was the star of stars.
Right.
It was the house that Johnny built.
And the players see that you're treating, and I get it. You know, you treat everybody. You don't treat everybody. You treat everyone fair. You don't treat them all the same. But when it's so blatant, when it's so obvious, all of a sudden, sometimes your teammates can become resentful because they see the things that Johnny is doing and they know it's not right, and they become resentful because if that was them, you're like, they'd be called to the carpet.
That is
but
correct.
But you're in college and you're that kind of superstar, you get away with it. In the NFL, they don't play that.
They don't play that.
Yeah, also life is not fair.
No.
What do you say? Fair is for funnel cakes and ho-hos?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
ho-hos?
candied apples.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you, well, not that I feel like, if you get to take a top 5 quarterback when your team was bad last year, so if you have someone like Tyrod on your squad, you're probably wanting to start them because, I don't know, your record is 1-31. So there's no education like experience. It's not like he's sitting behind Favre or Montana or Brady or Bledsoe.
So you give him, I can't jump that high. I can't give him no 70% increase. I might be willing to give him like 30, 40.
Well, I mean.
Would you go above 5.5?
No, I give 5 on the head.
5 on the head, so you would bet the under on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 5 would be a drastic
Yeah,
improvement.
that was a 50% increase.
Right. No mercy. Westgate Superbook set the Patriots over-under at 11 wins next season, more than any other team. Tom Brady won the MVP last season, and the Patriots won 13 games. But Westgate's football odds makers said, quote, there just isn't as much margin of error for the Patriots at this point. The Eagles, Steelers, Packers, and Vikings are the only other teams with over-unders of at least 10 wins. So, Shannon, do you agree with the Patriots being favored to win the most games?
Yeah. They've won 12 games or more for 8 consecutive seasons. They've won the division 14 of the last 15 years. So I don't and Coach Belichick's there. Tom Brady's there. Gronk is coming back. They bring Edelman will be back. I love what they did in the draft. They lose Nate Solder. They go out and sign Isaiah Wynn. They get a complete running back in Sonny Michel. They trade for another offensive lineman from the 49ers, Skip. So they rebuilt their offense. I believe they'll be just even more potent offensively than what they were last year. So I don't know why anyone would ever think that the Patriots would win less than 10 games with Belichick and Coach Brady there, because that's what they always do. I can't remember. The last time they didn't win was what? 2008, and that's when Tom Brady hurt his knee, first play of the game, and they still ended up winning 11 games that year, Skip. So now if you want to go on out there and, they're going to be under, go on and give your money to Vegas. They have to go ahead and take it in and start on the construction on a new casino, but you'd be foolish to think they're going to win less than 11 games.
Yet, the quarterback is going to be 41 years of age. And you've said the quarterback won't make it more than one more year, but you must think this is going to be another big year for the quarterback, right?
He plays in a division where either A.J. McCarron, Peterman, or Josh Allen will be the starter, or McCown or Darnold will be the starter, or Tannehill or
bust.
Matt Moore or Nate Moore or whoever else might be the quarterback. So that's 6 wins right there.
6-0 right there.
Yeah, right there. 5-1 at the worst.
Then the Patriots get to play the NFC North, so you could throw in the odd Chicago, Detroit, whatever, right?
Yeah, that's 2 more wins. So right now they looking at 7. They 7 and what?
They get Green Bay at Foxborough, Minnesota at Foxborough. That'll work. Interesting.
So they could easily be 4-0 in that division because they go to think about that now, Joey. They go to Chicago and Detroit, but Green Bay and the Minnesota come to and look at you. You love to eat it. Yep.
Who's the reigning MVP in the National Football League?
Should be Carson Wentz, but it's Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady, huh? Who threw for 505, a playoff record in the Super Bowl?
and had me stay open late so he can get one of them old juicy Lucy L's, Joy.
But he still did what he needed to do to win the game. He threw for 505. Am I right?
Skip, why you do? Skip, I just want to know one thing from me, Skip. Why do you do that? Why, when Tom Brady has an outstanding performance in a loss, you will hail it, you heap praise upon it? LeBron James have numbers that we've never seen before. He's like, he's not clutch, he can't get it done. Why do you do that?
Well, you're always telling me LeBron doesn't have enough help. Well, Brady didn't have enough help in the Super Bowl because the help was on the sideline, where the coach wouldn't let the help even leave the sideline and actually play in the game.
Well, if you
Malcolm Butler.
If LeBron James on a game-winning, if LeBron James was going down and he had the ball stolen from him, like somebody else I know in the '95 playoffs by Nick Anderson, but I'm not bringing his name up. If LeBron James did that, like we remember Collison, when Collison forced him to step out of bounds, and you say LeBron James cost him the game, at some point in time, Tom Brady cost him that game. That fumble and drop pass, they had meaning. You never know the play. I had a coach tell me, he said, son, you never know the play. So all of them are valuable.
Okay, so that brings me back to Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals.
We're talking about Tom Brady.
Well, you brought it up. You brought up LeBron James, so I'm going to finish on LeBron James because LeBron had 3 shockingly uncharacteristic, unforced error turnovers down the stretch of that game, a la Tom Brady having won in the Super Bowl game.
But when did it happen?
Yeah. Well, it happened late, but LeBron's happened in the last 3 minutes, 3 in a row. And it's like, what are you doing, man? And then he shoots the 3 to tie, LeBricks, long rebound, and you know the rest of the story. So the difference in basketball and football is that anybody can play quarterback on the offense in basketball, and Ray Allen took the quarterback duties over, and he took the pass in the corner, and he went straight up, and he drained it.
Ray Allen,
greatest clutch shot ever.
Chris Bosh played quarterback. He the one that shot him that quick pass to Jordan. That thing was nice with the Jordan.
Yeah. But then somebody had to make a shot that is quarterback worthy. It's like a long pass for a touchdown, and Ray Allen swished it as clean as you can swish it, and it was overtime.
Are the Patriots going to be over or under 11.5 wins?
This isn't even close. I think they could win 14 games because they still have the best quarterback in football, and you're not acknowledging the fact that it's a quarterback's game, and they still have the best one. They still have it.
I prefaced everything I said. They still have Brady. They still have Coach Belichick. Gronk is unretired. No, nobody thought Gronk was going to retire, but I don't know. But that was.
But if you're saying this is Tom Brady's final year, because you're on record is he could play 2 more years before last year, and so if this is his final year, we're going to see decline over the last 8 games. You're going to see a guy who's failing, fading, and needs to step aside, right? Isn't that what we're?
But they still play in that division.
Okay.
Put it like this here: the NFC East. If the NFC East was a the AFC East was in the Eastern Conference, all 3 of those teams would be Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so to Coach Belichick's credit, he went out when I least expected it, and he did a pretty good job. Not like they did last year.
He did a great job.
He just did a pretty good job.
Skip, you like the draft. They needed a lineman. They needed a running back. They got it. And they traded for another one.
The best move they made the whole offseason was their second pick in the first round, Sony Michel, because he is an electric game breaker, and he will provide the rookie jolt this team needs because he's pretty special. So all of a sudden, if you factor him into that Dion Lewis role, whatever that is, throwing, catching, he's a bigger, faster, stronger Dion Lewis.
He might be Alvin Kamara. But the question is, you know how they do things, Skip. He might have 150 all-purpose yards one week and not play for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So you never know what you're going to get out of the Patriots running back because you never know who's going to play week to week.
Yep. So they did sign Jordan Matthews out of Vanderbilt University, so that'll help Tom a little bit.
It helped him a little bit, huh?
A little bit. Well,
he ain't helped Buffalo.
No, he didn't, but he helped Philly for a while.
Oh, no, he's dropping everything.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he did.
Caught a bunch of passes. He still holds the SEC record for catches and yards in a career.
Philadelphia Eagles and
Vanderbilt?
Buffalo is not in the SEC.
Vanderbilt? Wow. Unbelievable.
What? So he left all his catches back at Vanderbilt.
Must have. I don't know what happened, but I like him in New England, and Tom Brady will like him because he's
like
big and
everybody
fast.
in New England.
And they added Adrian Claiborne to the defense. And the last time I saw Adrian Claiborne, he was all over. Dak Prescott was wearing him like a jersey in Atlanta. Remember that day?
I bet 2 cases of Sprite right now he don't have 5 sacks.
Total for the year?
For the year.
Well, you know the system. It doesn't
Exactly. So why are you getting excited about it?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not excited. I just think Danny Shelton, the big tackle they got from Cleveland, that'll work. And they got Jason McCourty to play.
He was the 8th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland Browns traded him 2 years after he was 3 years after he was drafted. Let that sink in for just a second.
I'll let it sink in. I'm not saying he's a life changer, but it's something. You got a little bit better than you are. The only disappointment in the draft was the 7th round pick, because I expected Coach Belichick to take another quarterback and say, I got my next Jimmy G. And I wanted that fire relit under Tom Brady, because we know he will respond to challenges. And Belichick took Danny Etling from LSU. Have you watched Danny Etling play? He's about as far from a threat to Brady as I could imagine.
Yep.
You know what? What do you do? It was like a joke pick to me. Like if you gave me a list of 100 college quarterbacks and you would say, Bill Belichick's going to take Danny Etling?
But, Skip, you remember everybody was talking about, oh, they love this kid from Richmond. Ooh, they love him. Oh, they so high. They snuck down there and worked out Lamar Jackson. He was in the studio. Ooh, they really like him. Blowing smoke. Skip, you mentioned Claiborne. You mentioned Shelton. And you say, well, it's something.
I'm just saying you got something. You got a little better on defense. You got something. I'm just
Well, like my grandfather told me and my brother, he said, boys, anything is better than nothing. But you two fellas are real close to nothing. This right here, what they got, Claiborne and Shelton, real close to nothing.
Okay. So all I know is they have a 41-year-old quarterback that you already predicted would be retired by the end of next year. Yep. So you're saying he's going to have another huge year if they're going to go 14-2.
You said 14-2.
What are you saying?
I said they will win. I will take the over. Okay. Because over the last 8 years, it doesn't matter.
So 12?
Yeah, I give them 12.
12? Give them 12? 12 is pretty great, man.
Yeah. Skip, the line is 11.
How does a 41-year-old win 12 games? I just don't get it. I don't care if it's Sam Darnold or whoever it is, Ryan Tannehill.
Skip.
It's hard for a 41-year-old, right?
The starter at the Jets has been on 10 different teams. He can't even say it with a straight face.
I can.
No, you can't.
I had to laugh when I said Ryan Tannehill.
Except for the December game. You know.
Oh, you know what? That's a good catch by George.
That's our one.
At Miami, 1 o'clock on December the 9th.
Really?
That's trouble.
I'll put a case of Sprite on it.
So
now.
So that's the game that's going to trip the Patriots up to keep them from winning 12 games.
Well, it tripped them up last year, but they somehow
They still won 12 games.
They lost to Jay Cutler last year in Miami. Remember that?
Except for I won a bottle of Don Julio, 42.
Ooh.
And then I'll give you a
42?
case of Sprite.
I think that's not a fair bet.
All I know is they lost to Nick Foles. Throw them Foles. And Meek Mill. Oh, they're gonna have Meek Mill out there on Thursday.
I don't hear anything.
Are you ignoring?
Yeah, you gotta bet. Y'all ain't gonna win nothing. Joy,
all right.
Did you take that bet?
Yeah, Joy get her hopes up every year, and I hate that happening
It's
to her.
only on that game.
But I'm saying, every year
That's our signature win every year.
Joy comes in every year with such high
I'm
hopes.
not doing it this year.
No mercy.
Russell Westbrook scored 46 points on Friday night, but the Thunder's season still came to an end in Utah. After the game, Westbrook got into it with a Jazz fan as he walked off the court. Russ said the fans were, quote, vulgar and disrespectful. On the court, Paul George and Carmelo struggled big time in Game 6, going for a combined 5 for 23 from the floor. After the game, George said it was too soon to talk about free agency, and Carmelo said there was no way he would come off the bench next season. We're joined by FS1 NBA analyst Steven Jackson.
I can't wait for this.
Yeah.
What went wrong for OKC?
Well, first, coaching-wise, they were not coached the right way. All season, I've tried to come up with ideas and hope Billy Diamond was listening to our shows and give him ideas of how to play with 3 of the best one-on-one players in the game. They played like Golden State, and they shouldn't have. He should have put those guys in more one-on-one half-court offenses that would have cut out those crazy threes Carmelo used to take, that would have slowed Russ down. Because you got to, even though Russ great, you got to put some kind of leash on him, especially in the playoffs. And I don't think that he ran the right offense all year, and that struggled for them. They should have had more ISO plays. It's a famous play that every team used to run. It's called drop, where you get a big man that can pass, to get on the elbow and just drop it down to your guard on the post. Melo, 2 or 3 dribbles, he's unstoppable. Paul George on there as a 2-guard, a 6'9" 2-guard posting up, he's unstoppable. They ran the wrong offense, and it was clear that Donovan Mitchell was the best player in that series. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, Russ is right about the hearing racist things and the fans saying stuff about your family. When I played in Utah, when I played there in the playoffs, a guy actually had a life-size cutout of me in the jail uniform. The same uniform they wore in the movie Life, with my face on it, and my mom saw it. She went crazy about it. And nobody from the NBA told him to take it down. It was right under the goal, right in the camera, the TV camera, where everybody could see it.
What year was this?
This was in 2007 when I was with Golden State. Nobody told him to take it down, and they just left it there. And
regular season, post.
This is playoffs. And I actually went to the guy and signed it after because he wasn't one of those guys. He was actually a good fan. He was just, he was just trolling. Right. But we heard all kind of stuff during that series about our families and all kinds of stuff from the Utah fans, and it happens every time. Utah is probably the worst city I've played in my career dealing with that because it's definitely not a place for the brothers.
Right.
And when you go there to have a drink, you got to join the bars. You got to actually join the bar. Like it's just a different place.
Right.
And
now Russ didn't go racial, but you heard racist comments.
Yeah, that's what we said.
I've heard that from a lot of players.
Yeah, and but Russ actually said that on his press conference that they say racist things and they say stuff about his family.
I heard vulgar and disrespectful.
But
go ahead.
It happens in Utah, and it is not the first time, so I'm not surprised. But that's not the reason why they lost the series.
Right, that is
Donovan
not.
Mitchell was by far the best player in this series. And I think Utah did a great job of going younger with this team, drafted him, and even making a change of the look of the court and the organization. They got new colors and all this stuff. So I think Utah is going the right direction. I think OKC need to revamp their offense. I don't think it was the players. I really think it was the coach.
They're not going. You can't coach Russ. This is his second. Scotty Brooks tried it. Billy Donovan has tried it. You couldn't. He was so uncoachable. Kevin Durant packed his bag. Kevin Durant would rather get criticized for going and joining a 73-9 team. And every chance he gets to take a shot at the why he left, he leaves no stone unturned in letting you know that's why I left. Russell Westbrook shot the ball 43 times. He shot the ball in the second half alone 28 times. The rest of his teammates shot it 21. How do you win a game like that? You can't. You look at, it's great, the triple-double. Skip, you're not going to win with him. Now, he might average a triple-double next year. He might average one the year after that. But guess what? You got Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, and you won one more playoff game. But I tell you what, Sam Presti, you better hope Paul George signs back. Because if he doesn't, it looks like Victor Oladipo going to be the real deal moving forward. Skip, they can't win like this because you got a bunch of guys, as Stack said, they're individuals. And Carmelo is a shell of himself. He's not that. He still can get a few buckets here and there, but you're asking him all of a sudden to be Kyle Korver.
Yep.
He's never been that.
No.
So he can't transition to that. Paul George has his moments, but you can't play our P. You can't.
Can't give yourself a name either.
I let him have it.
Thank you.
Stop it, Skip.
Playoff P?
You can't give yourself.
He play our P for 2 games. He'll play our P.
They call Paul Pierce the truth because somebody gave him that name. Somebody gave Allen Iverson the answer.
Yeah.
Don't give yourself a name.
That way, somebody gave him the king. Somebody gave him the chosen one. Somebody gave him that name, and he refused to let it go. But that being said, Skip, I'm sorry. Your OKC Thunder, this is about as far as they're ever going to go. And good luck ever attractive. So think about this. What free agent you know that's going to be up on the market and can go get a max deal or can go get a near max deal? So you know what?
Tell me when it's my turn.
I want to go play with Russ.
It's some coaches out there that can get them over there. You get a different coach, it can happen.
Now it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
I did pick the Thunder. And the last minute and 8 seconds of Friday night's game will take me 4 years to recover from because I have never seen anything quite like it. But I've also never seen anything quite like the third quarter. It was one of the all-time greatest playoff mano-a-mano shootouts I have ever witnessed. It was Russ going at it with Donovan Mitchell, who has already arrived, as you point out, as a star. And he was ultimately the best player on this floor. But in the third quarter, Russell Westbrook willed them back in this game. And there's nobody with stronger will in all of basketball than this young man.
Right.
And it's just solo will. I get it. But he just said, okay, I'm going to do it. If you guys can't do it, I'll do it. I'll show you Utah. And by the way, he's giving it to the Utah fans just as hard as they're giving it back. So just for the record. But Russ scores 20 in the third quarter. Not that easy to do on 7 of 14 shots. And I know it's a lot of shots, but he did make 7, and he made 4 out of 7 threes, which is unusual and uncharacteristic for him. Right. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell makes 8 out of 10 shots and 3 of 3 from the three-point line, and he scores 22. But the Thunder are hanging on and hanging in only because of Russell Westbrook.
No
and in the end, it comes down to the last minute and 8 seconds. And Favors makes an 18-foot jump shot to put them up 3. And all of a sudden, Oklahoma City has the ball. And this is, look, if they can get it home, if they can get it back to Oklahoma City, I believe they're going to win a Game 7.
Probably so.
Okay? And they get in one possession. How many times, Steven Jackson, have you seen this in your career? They get 6 straight shots in one possession. 6 straight shots. You have to keep getting offensive rebound, offense. You get 5 offensive rebounds. And the first shot was not even a shot because they said Paul George was not in the shooting motion. Could we see the first one? I don't know. We've got lots of stuff going on here. That's near the end of it. But here we go. This is the first shot. Paul George tries to shoot a 3, and they're saying you're not in the shooting motion. Yes, he was. Yeah. And they said it's your ball out of bounds. What?
James Harden gets that call.
You're kidding. Oh, James Harden gets that call 100 out of 100 times. So he should have been shooting 3 free throws to start the possession.
Right.
And then the last shot of the 6 is the one where he leans into Gobert. And
No, you can't.
That's a foul. That's a foul.
You can't jump sideways. They cut that out.
Kyle Korver, another JeBron, everybody else do it.
Does James Harden get that call? Yes, he does.
James Harden get foul calls from walking through the metal detector.
Okay,
so.
you know what? you know what I think? I think the referees had seen so much ugly basketball to that point, and that was the 6th miss in that one possession. I think the refs just finally said, just play. Just let it go. Yeah. And Oklahoma City, they're all looking at the referee like, what are you doing? And there's still 22 seconds left. So you could foul, and they just let Utah run out. They ran the clock down to 7 seconds left, and the game is over. But they had chance after chance after chance. Now to my man, George Paul, because he is George Paul.
Don't do that, Skip. You called Paul George 2 days ago.
Playoff P.
What's wrong with you, Skip?
I'm going to say
I can't believe it. Skip, what is wrong with you?
Did you realize that, listen to this. Listen to this statistic. This is the guy who wants a max contract to be somebody's savior next year. The last 43 minutes and 15 seconds of the closeout Game 6 at Utah, Playoff P scores 0 buckets. He makes no baskets. No, he made some free throws, but he made no baskets for the last 43 minutes of the game. What is that about? He shoots 2 for 16. He makes 0 for 6 threes. 0 for 6? This is Paul George. This is the guy where Russ is going to have some help. Baloney. He had no help. Are you kidding me? You stayed in the game in spite of this guy.
Let me ask you a question, Stat. Maybe you can help me out here. Let's just say I'm going to switch one player on this team. I'm going to take Russell Westbrook off, and I'm going to put him on the Cavaliers. And I'm going to put LeBron James on this team. So it's going to be LeBron, Paul George, Melo, and Steven Adams. And Russ got that supporting class in Cavaliers. Who you think win the series?
Well, the way it looked, they both would have been struggling. Because LeBron just struggled too and won 7 games. So I can't give him that yet.
So let me ask you a question.
You know what? You would be saying about Paul George what you say about Jordan Clarkson and Rodney Hood.
So you think,
you'd be saying, LeBron still doesn't have enough
So you think
help.
the Cavaliers, the 4 starters that LeBron played with are worse than the 4 starters that Russ played with? Is that what you're telling me?
No, not at all.
So that's what I'm saying. So if I put LeBron James, are you telling me LeBron James with that starting cast doesn't beat Utah?
Well, you put LeBron James on Prairie View A&M, and they might win the college NCAA championship.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You put LeBron anywhere.
I just want people to give me credit.
That's a good line. Actually.
I just want people to give me credit.
But that's the first Prairie View reference we've ever had on this show. Thank you.
I just want to know what's going on. What is Paul George? Paul George is a good player, Skip.
He
just had a bad series.
This is it. This is the game. This is the most important game of the year, obviously by far, and you shoot 2 for 16 and you don't score a bucket for the last 44 minutes of the game?
Well, you ain't say nothing about.
And you want a max contract?
You didn't have a problem with Russ talking about he gonna shut that bleep off, and Ricky Rubio put that thing on.
By the way, thank you for bringing up Ricky Rubio, because the quarterback of the Utah Jazz was lost 5 minutes into this game.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to deal with Ricky Rubio for the rest of the game. Obviously, Houston didn't have to deal with him yesterday because he's probably going to be out for the whole series. And this is the head of this snake, Ricky Rubio. And you still can't get it home because Paul George, he gets outplayed by Joe Ingles. He does. Seriously, Joe Ingles outplayed him.
Why don't you talk about that 18 of 43 and that 7 of 19 from three-point? Ain't nobody gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna mention that.
Yeah, that's one team. They take the worst three-pointers. They take them out of a lot of pick and rolls. They don't get any wide open threes out of double teams, nothing like that. Because again, their offense. They're not taking advantage of their one-on-one players. They're trying to make everybody a pick and roll player, and that didn't work.
Well, hold on, Stacks. You keep saying that they. Who is the point guard?
No, but you're right. Russ has a lot to do with it. But Tony Parker was a dominant point guard. But when Pop needed to pull his reins, he pulled them.
He did.
They never had a coach in OKC.
How they gonna get him?
They got to get a new coach.
Let me ask you a question. At this juncture, other than Popovich, who can coach Russ?
Oh, I know a couple coaches that can go in there and that'll challenge him. Mark Jackson, David Fizdale, Jerry Stackhouse. These type of coaches that's played the game, they would challenge him.
David Fizdale ain't gonna challenge him.
I guarantee
you know why? Because he saw what happened to him in Grit when he challenged the guy. He challenged Mark Gasol, and he got him up here doing TV with you and I.
That's a different situation.
But all he did was he made a move that he thought was going to help his team win.
Right.
He didn't say you're not starting anymore. That was a one-game situation.
Right.
And you know Russ is a different animal.
He is. But if he wants to win, I think he'll buy it.
To your point, somewhere right now, Kevin Durant, if he's watching, hello, Kevin, he's sitting there saying, he's chuckling, saying, told you.
Yeah.
And yet, I should have told myself about Carmelo, because I thought Carmelo, once it was time, would rise and shine in the playoffs and just figure out a role or make some shots. He is beyond shell. It's sad. It was sad for me to watch him because I was the biggest Carmelo fan. And I agree with you. In the low post, he's just such an unstoppable load. And he's not a spot-up three-point shooter. And it was just pathetic because he's not Melo anymore. He's just another Anthony. You know, like he's just some Anthony.
Right.
Dude, OKC had 93 shot attempts. Russell took 43 of them.
Okay, but you're missing the point. They have shots to win the game at the end because he willed them back in. Yeah. I agree with you. That's horrendous. But it was all they had.
But Skip, guess what? On those 6 shots they were taking and they were missing, he took 3 of them.
Well, sure
so
he
had a chance that he'll win.
And George Paul took 3 of them.
Yeah.
When you have to shoot that much, you're not going to make all of them.
Right, exactly.
Whoa, Stacks. I understand, but you didn't answer my question.
Yes.
If Russell Westbrook, with that Cleveland Cavaliers, do they get out in the first round against Indiana if Russell Westbrook instead of LeBron James is on the team? A simple yes or a simple no?
Yes.
Well, nobody said
Russ is that good to me. Are we talking about Russ? But he's one guy I love to go to war with. He's one guy that the way he plays and the passion he has, you can't teach. A lot of guys in the NBA don't have that, but it can hurt you sometimes.
I don't care about if I'm going to go to war, I'm going to go to war. But the objective is not just to go to war, it's to win the war.
No question. You're right about that.
Okay, just remember what a bad matchup this was. Gobert is the best rim protector in basketball, and LeBron would have a harder time getting to the basket.
We ain't got no hard time because he got to guard Kevin Love. We're going to pull him out from that basket. He got to guard Love.
But that's what people don't understand about playoffs.
Yeah.
It's about who's best in this series.
Right.
It ain't about who's best regular season.
We're going to leave it there. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back again tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.